Now out of my hall with that jangling, you louts! My ears veritably bleed with that racket.
But begging your pardon, my lord, I was in fact hired to...
I care not what you were hired to do. I won't have it. Now get thee gone before I clap you about the ears. And don't you think that you will be paid 1 penny for that noise that you protest to be music? Now, don't the rest of you get any ideas either. I hate music.
Oh, it's no use. However shall we carry on, Miss Pickwick? Every year the king reduces the budget for Christmas decorations, and there is only so much we can do. Forsooth, I dug this pitiful garland out of the carriage yard myself, because it was all I could manage, but I fear it has the opposite effect of evoking jollity.
You speak the truth, dear Martha. I know not what has gotten into the king these past few years, but he treats our annual Christmas gathering like a carbuncle on one's toe. The sooner he's rid of it, the better.
Think you, my lady, that his sour demeanor may be due to the fact that he has yet to take a wife?
There have been so many lovely noble ladies presented to him. Can it be that none were to his liking?
I fear, dear one, that the issue is rather that King Ebenezer was not to their liking.
Ha! Well, our king is known to be quite unpleasant, isn't he? He absolutely loathes dancing, singing, playing cards, strolling in the gardens, going to theaters, and all manner of things a young lady would find diverting. With all of those activities eliminated, what interest could they possibly have in common?
It is true that our king seems to be growing stonier of heart by the day. Ever since his father died, God rest his soul. I wish there was something I could do to liven his spirits and show him how truly blessed he is to be lord of so great a kingdom, but alas, I know not what would convince him. Oh, Martha, dear, just leave it. The king certainly will not notice.
Miss Pickwick, do you think the king will ever cancel the Christmas party? The scraps that I bring home from this fair gathering every year is the only meal my family has on Christmas Day. If the king does not host the party, I fear we shall spend the day of our Lord's birth with empty bellies.
Martha, I'll help you decorate the hall.
Percy, what are you doing here? You should not be here. This is my place of work, and if the king sees you darting about the halls, I could lose my position.
Oh, it's quite all right, Martha. Is this a sibling of yours?
Yes, my youngest brother, Percival. Percy, come here. I told you no running. It will aggravate your lungs.
I love running. Is the child sick? Perhaps I could have the court's physician examine him, and
even if we could afford his services, I'm sure he would not be able to cure what ails Percy. He has had weak lungs since birth and is constantly unwell. It's so unfair for a small boy not to be able to go and play with the others. They taunt him endlessly for being different. They call him puny Percival.
Oh, how terrible, and such a sweet child, too. Well, there's nothing at all puny about your spirit, now is there, Percival?
No, my lady.
Well, I best get you home, you little sneak. Will you be needing my services any longer this evening?
It's quite all right, dear. You've done enough. And I never want you to fear for your family's hunger. There will be a basket prepared for you out by the servants' entrance, filled with many tastes from tonight's party.
Is there pudding in the basket?
My most sincere thanks, mistress. Your kindness more than makes up for the king's unyielding heart.
What a dear family. Step lively, all of you. Finish up your tasks and then clear the hall. Ah, it's nearly time for our noble guests to arrive.
Now, Mrs. Pickwick, how many more years will I be first to host this infernal gathering?
Your Majesty knows that this gathering meant a great deal to your mother and father. They planned this event for months, and it went a long way to generate goodwill and gladness among your Majesty's subjects.
But why is it my responsibility to spread goodwill and frivolity at the expense of hundreds of pounds from the royal coffers? The people will undoubtedly thank me when I do away with all of this unneeded expense and I fill the royal savings to the brim.
Your Majesty, I would caution you not to end this tradition. Many of your people look forward to it all year long, and for some of the less fortunate folk, well, their Christmas dinners are made from nothing but the scraps of our great table.
No, what are you saying? I know that you are not giving away an asset as valuable as food away for free to the riffraff that live among us. How will they learn to defend for themselves if they are fed from our royal table for doing absolutely nothing?
Your Majesty, many of them are hard-working indeed. Your father often gave alms to the poor.
My father ran the kingdom how he liked in his time, but he is dead. So now I shall run the kingdom as I see fit, and that does not include giving out charity to miscreants. Soons, I can't think of anything I would rather do less than sit amongst a gaggle of nobles, listening to them prattle on about whose daughter's going to marry who, or how many ships are sent off to who cares where.
Your Majesty, your guests will be arriving at any moment.
Then they shall have to carry on without me. I've had enough of this. There is not a thing that could make me feel merry, and I will not be putting up a front any longer. Tend to the guests and come up with some excuse for my absence. And, Mrs. Pickwick, make sure they are out of here by the hour of 9 sharp. I will not have my slumber disturbed by drunkards carrying on.
I know His Majesty's heart is broken and that he rages thus. The death of his father, the lack of one who might teach him to love and be loved, the uncertainty of his kingdom's future. I pray that somehow his eyes might be opened to the many things that have been, are, and shall be. Who knows? Christmas is indeed a magical time, known to soften many a stony heart. Anything could happen.
I used to love this night. Every year, my dear wife and I would gather all our friends together and throw the most splendid Christmas Eve celebration in the entire realm. There'd be singing, dancing, catching up with acquaintances old and new, and most of all, expressing gratitude for the passing year's many blessings. Though I am no longer walking the earth with the living, I have watched my son slip ever further away from his duty to spread cheer and goodwill among his subjects. Let us endeavor to remind him of happier days before the weight of the world was pressed upon him.
Now, blast it, I forgot my ledger. I need it for my nightly bouncing the royal budgets. Now, where did I leave it?
I believe this is your ledger, is it not?
Yes, I will just... Father, it cannot be you. You have been long dead these many years.
It is I, Ebenezer, come to open your eyes to the many things the good Lord has chosen to bestow upon you, though you are willfully ignorant of them.
But I don't understand. Do I dream? I knew I should not have had that last goblet of wine.
Question not a miracle such as this, my son. You have strayed from the path, and if you hope to succeed in leading this kingdom, I would unplug thine ears and heed well my instruction, for I am the spirit of Christmas past.
This is preposterous. I do not believe in spirits and fairies and all of that whimsical nonsense. You are but a figment of my imagination, and I refuse to acknowledge
You have lost your way, my son! Whether you will it or no, your kingdom is headed for ruin. You will be visited by 3 spirits this night, all come to show you what the world once was, is, and shall be. If you heed them not, it will be your doom.
Menace me not, Father. I will heed the spirit's guidance. Just please, do not send me into the inferno. Not yet. I beg of you.
Jolly good then. Now, I invite you to simply look about you and tell me what you see.
I am in my own great hall, but it is decked much more elaborately than when I left it. These vast wreaths and garlands. I remember that Mother had the fair branches brought into the Remar forest in France because she swore
that they smelled the most like Christmas, yes.
And Father, there you are, with Mother. But you're so young. What year is this?
This is the annual Christmas celebration 20 years ago. You were merely a boy of 13 then.
And look ho, there is Lord Ollivander Darby, one of your greatest friends. How do you do this eve, Lord Darby?
I do believe King Jacob's parties get bigger and better with each passing year. Why, he told me just this morning that the royal hunters have provided no less than 8 wild boar for our enjoyment. 8.
My goodness, I do hope you have brought your appetite to your husband. By the by, have you seen Eliza? I think she went off to the stables to pet the horses. I do hope someone is keeping an eye on her.
Why does Lord Darby ignore me? I will have him taken to the stocks.
Patience, my son, this is merely a vision. They are not here, nor are we there.
Father, did you really order 8 boars for this party? That seems a bit excessive for a gathering of this size.
3 of them were taken from the kitchens and distributed to the townspeople. Had you seen the smiles upon their joyful faces, you would have cared naught for the expense.
I want to heartily welcome you all to this most illustrious gathering, which warms our hearts more than all the blazing hearths in this castle combined. My queen and I are grateful for your company and for the merriment you create with us on this most festive eve.
Your Majesty, it is a pleasure to attend your gracious company. We here gathered look forward to your invitation each year, for this is surely the highlight of our holiday season. I myself am happy to retire from the rough and choppy seas to the warmth and comfort of your great hall.
The Admiral looks so sprightly. He now walks with much labor, and he seems to struggle more with each passing year. I do believe that he was injured, leading an expedition to
The New World, yes. The weather turned grave as they departed our coast, and they were prepared to turn back, but...
But I told them to go ahead. I feared that if they had waited another week, then the crop of sugar that I was sending them to collect would spoil, and my investment would have been squandered on nothing. The cost was too great, the risk.
Greater than the Admiral's welfare, and all those drowned men.
A toast to all of my jolly friends and to His Majesty's health.
Perhaps your Majesty should not allow the prince to roughhouse on such a sacred occasion as this.
Lord Kensington was always a poisonous bunch-baked toad.
And I am thrilled to report that he still is.
Thank you for that most sound advice, Lord Kensington. Boys! Boys! Ebenezer, Barty, it is most insulting to our guests for you to whack them about the ears with your swords. Now, put those away, the both of you.
My goodness, Your Majesty. The prince seems to have grown a foot since I was last at the palace. He is to one day be as strong and astute as his father the king.
Indeed, Lady Nicole. He is most skilled with the physical arts, as he has just demonstrated. But if we could just get him to turn his mind to the scholarly pursuits, that shall equip him to rule the kingdom one day.
If I may be so bold, Your Majesty, a strong arm and a sound mind are not the only things required for ruling a kingdom. Every handsome prince needs a suitable mate by his side. My daughter Eliza is of his age, and I am told that she grows more beautiful by the day.
Oh, is that so, my Lord Darby?
It's true, Your Majesty. The young lady Eliza is as fresh as a rose in the early spring. I am sure she will grow into the most magnificent partner for the young prince.
Oh, all this talk of young love excites me beyond comprehension. I feel a most incessant fluttering in my heart. I can hardly express it. I could just burst forth in merry song.
Ah, yes, perhaps if we indulge in a bit of romantical song, we may all leave this feast having procured a suitable mate.
Now, how is it that if this Eliza was to be my intended, that I never once set eyes on her?
There is still much for you to see. All will be revealed.
For my personal favorite part of the evening, the great gift exchange.
Pot's teeth! I'd forgotten all about this old tradition. Father and Mother used to send a missive to each household that was invited to the Christmas party with the name of another guest, and all were required to bring a gift for their secret recipient. He would banish them from the hall if they arrived empty-handed.
Well, I do hope that everyone adhered to the allotted budget this year. Just because some people like to spend lavishly during the Yuletide, I myself prefer to use the occasion to focus on the solemnity of the Lord's birth. He was born in a stable, you know, in the meanest of conditions. I fear he may frown upon the extravagance of this feast, Your Majesty.
Aha! A woman after my own heart.
As always, Lady Abigail, you are a very paragon of prudence.
And cheapness.
To set an example, perhaps you would like to disperse your gift first.
If you'll permit me, Your Majesty, perhaps it would better sustain the element of surprise if we were to close our eyes while the servants pass out the gifts. Then there would be much jollity in the guessing of who gave which gift.
A most excellent idea, Lord Fezziwig. Dear servants, will you please distribute the gifts whilst we shut our eyes a while and pass the time in song?
Now to the Lord sing praises, all you within this place, and with true love and brotherhood each other now embrace. This holy tide of Christmas all others doth that face. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy.
Oh, goody, I shall go first, if your majesties permit me. How beautiful the cloth, how fine the weave. This most thoughtful gift can only be from Lady Nicole.
How did you guess, my lord?
Oh, Lady Nicole, your fine herds of sheep and wool are known the kingdom over. I have seen many sporting your wares this week.
Verily, my favorite winter gloves are of Lady Nicole's wool.
An excellent start. Now, who shall go next?
Since I am already prepared to be underwhelmed, I suppose I shall go. What in the devil is this? What am I supposed to do with this? What a pointless gift.
Excuse me, that's an antique, cast off from a Viking ship. I pulled it out of the beach on my last Nordic voyage myself. That's a piece of ancient seafaring history.
Well, all I see in front of me is a giant piece.
Let's move on, shall we? Thank you for that creative gift, Lord Admiral. Lady Genevieve, perhaps you would like to go next.
Happy to oblige, Your Majesty. I know not what to say, nor who could have given such an interesting gift.
It can only be from the person among us who is too cheap to supply the other sock to complete the pair. Lady Abigail Mayhew.
I wonder what you thought Lady Genevieve might do with a single sock, Lady Mayhew. Surely she has 2 feet.
I would not expect any of you to appreciate the modesty of this fine gift. And verily, if Lady Genevieve wishes to receive the mate, she need only hope that she draws my name again next year.
What a ridiculous gift! Entirely defeating the very purpose of the exercise.
I'm surprised to hear you say that, my son. I would have thought that you, of all people, would appreciate the saving of money rather than the spending of it.
There are some things worth spending money on, to be sure. Frugality for the sake of frugality seems laborious.
It certainly does.
Well, since you have been so incredibly generous, Lady Mayhew, perhaps you allow us to give a gift to you. A gift of song to celebrate your most singular temperament.
I know just the one.
Lord Darby, open your gift if you will.
My. Zoons, this is most astonishing, though I cannot guess whom it may be from. Surely no expense was spared. The craftsmanship and detail are first rate.
All right, I can't stand it. 'Twas I. I cannot resist such a fine gift from my very dearest friend.
Your Majesty's generosity is astonishing, and I thank thee heartily. On the jousting field, this shall surely help my opponents get the point.
Father, that gift must have cost hundreds of pounds.
My son, wealth is something to be shared, not kept in cold, dark vaults. I hope you see the good money can do when it is used for the betterment and the joy of others.
But what about running the kingdom, Father? Surely you would agree that having adequate stores of finances is imperative. Should there be a war or a famine or some other unforeseen disaster?
Ebenezer, I have haunted the royal coffers many a time, and I assure you, you have enough gold to weather 10 famines. Your anxiety is most exhausting.
Father, what's happening?
There is another point in the past. The not-so-distant past that you must see. We will go there now.
But wait, I want to see the rest of the nobles opening their gifts. are we, Father? Or rather, when are we? Father, my blood runs cold at this. Why must I watch it? I have lived through this wretched day once before, and I do not wish to do so again.
You must see this, Ebenezer. A great responsibility was handed over to you on this day, one that you are yet to fully take up.
It is with greatest solemnity that I invite the Queen.
My dear subjects, I assure you that none feel this blow as keenly as I. Many of you were personal friends of the king, and that is because the kindness and warmth of his heart knew no bounds. He welcomed all into his court with loving arms, but he also knew when to apply strength and seriousness. He was both liberal with his fortune and careful in the management of this kingdom. It is because of this that my son, Prince Ebenezer, is fortunately positioned to take his father's place as your king.
Oh, Your Majesty, where is the prince? I don't see him among us.
His grief is too great. He has not emerged from his rooms for days.
I should have been there. I should have comforted the subjects, given them confidence in me.
Your Majesty, forgive me, but the hall is most modestly decorated for a funeral of this magnitude.
The prince was given charge of making the funeral arrangements, and methinks his mind was stricken with so much misery that perhaps he overlooked the banners and the flowers.
Is that true, my son? Or were you already so stricken with the irresistible lure of my money to which you've so desperately clung?
Father, I'm so sorry. I thought I was making the right decision. The kingdom was in a time of fearfulness and turmoil. I thought that cutting down the palace expenses was the right thing to do, given the situation.
And nothing to mark your father's exit from the world, Ebenezer. Nothing to commemorate my reign, or at the very least to comfort the many friends that had gathered to mourn me.
I will have no more of this guilt. Yes, I cancelled the funeral feast and sent everyone home. Yes, I didn't order decorative banners and performances. I did not. But you cannot think that I did not love you, Father, just because I didn't throw a party for your death. I was set to take over a kingdom. I knew not what I should have done.
Your subjects never forgot your apparent disregard for me, Ebenezer. They carry that hurt with them to this day. And you have done nothing to repair that trust, have you?
Father, take me home now. I will see no more of this. The past is gone. It is of no consequence to me. That happy child is no more. Oh, by the devil's in... Fie me, I do believe I'm returned to my own palace. I knew that this had all been a fantasy, a hallucination. Ghosts and time traveling. What a great load of...
Jingle, 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 jingle. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle, 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 jingle. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
Dashing to the snow with a one-horse open sleigh. O'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtail ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. A one-horse open
Jingle,
Hey! Now how dare thee? I am your king, and not so much as a bend of the knee. No ring kissing, nothing. I will have you all thrown in the dungeon. Now attend me, you bunch of perfumed peacocks. Fie me!
Well, it's no surprise that his king is absent, given his general loathing of everything fun and fanciful.
I find it positively ridiculous to throw a party and then not make an appearance. Terrible hosting, if you ask me.
Ungrateful rapscallions! These comments are tantamount to treason!
Well, it appears that you won't be able to present your daughter to the king this eve, Lord Darby, as he is nowhere to be found.
Oh, Lord Darby, has your daughter come to court at last?
Let's see her then.
Who is that? I've never seen her at my court before. She is the most beautiful creature that I have ever laid my eyes on.
This is most distressing. Eliza, never you fear, my dear. You may still yet be queen, if I have anything to do with it.
Father, with all of these less than flattering remarks about His Majesty's demeanor, perhaps it is fortuitous that he is absent this evening. There are many other eligible lords who seem of the kindlier disposition.
Nonsense. I was the king's second in command and his closest friend. My daughter will be queen.
And oh, would I gladly have her as my queen, but how shall I meet her if she can neither see nor hear me? Ah, Mrs. Pickwick, come to wrangle all the guests with her usual cheer and hospitality. I can't believe that I caught her red-handed giving away our food to the riffraff on the street. She's probably been handing out the gold candlesticks and tapestries behind my back as well.
I most certainly have not.
Mrs. Pickwick, you can hear me.
Verily, and see you as well, your majesty.
Now, how is this possible when the others cannot? I fear that my good sense has been pushed to the brink, but Mrs. Pickwick, I am not sure what is going on here, or whether I've been dreaming, but no matter, for you are here now, and you can...
Hear you? See you?
Yes! Oh, no, Mrs. Pickwick, you've got to get me out of here!
I'm afraid I cannot do that, your majesty, for I'm the spirit of Christmas present, and there is much for you to learn from your present circumstances. Your subjects can teach you many things about the current state of your kingdom, and yet you never entertain their requests for an audience. Tonight, a beautiful lady is brought to meet you who would be your queen, yet you've chosen to spend the night locked up in the North Tower with your one and true love, your money.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Ah, yes, the sharp twinge of guilt. Well, I must leave you now, your majesty, to attend to your guests. I encourage you to see this party and your people as you've never seen them before. Ah, yes, Cardinal Angleford, would you please bless the precious peoples here gathered?
O God, to whom glory is sung in the highest, while on earth peace is proclaimed among men of goodwill. Grant thy same goodwill to us, thy servants. Cleanse us from evil, and give us peace to all thy people. Through thy mercy, O blessed Lord God, who doth live and govern all things, world without end. Amen.
My, how our spirits have been lifted as we have acknowledged the divine providence of all we have in this world. In the meantime, let us continue our celebration with divine entertainment.
Celebrate this day together, raise a song of Christmas cheer. Everyone rejoice forever, sing with joy for all to hear. Merry, 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 merry are the people for the merry day. Merry, 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 merry voices, merry, merry voices all the merry day. Merry, 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 merry Christmas Day. Merry, 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 merry Christmas Day. La 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 la. Let the merry music play. This festive, festive holiday. La 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 la. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort. Listen, merry gentlemen, ye merry gentlemen.
From God our heavenly Father, our blessed angel came, and unto certain shepherds brought tidings of the same. How that in Bethlehem was born the Son of God by name.
Oh,
tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy.
Oh,
tidings of comfort
and joy.
Well, that was lovely and all, but I really must insist that you explain to me exactly what is going on here.
Now, Your Majesty, we've no time for chit-chat. The gypsies are waiting in the wings and are prepared to offer their contribution to tonight's entertainment.
I don't give one hoot about the gypsies. Bunch of unwashed, pilfering heathens. I don't care if they... I don't care what they think, because you know as well as I do, Mrs. Pickwick, that they can neither see nor hear me.
If we cannot hear you, then what, pray tell, is that rather annoying and affronting sound coming from your general direction, Your Majesty?
How is this possible? I thought that none in the present time could detect my presence.
If you knew anything at all about the ways of gypsies, Your Majesty, you would know that we possess our own mystical powers of old and can call upon our own spirits to help us see what others cannot. Now, if you'd kindly let us continue with our presentation.
But I'm the king. The fiddlestick's fine. Do your little dance, but then get thee gone before you sully my impeccably polished floors. All right, I've had quite enough of your coyness, Mrs. Pickwick. The peasants have sung their little songs. The gypsies have clanged and banged to the delight of everyone except me. And now I demand that you provide me with an explanation of exactly what has befallen me.
I understand Your Majesty's concern. However, I must inform you that...
What must you inform me of?
That there's a fairy behind you.
Oh God, get it away from me! This cannot possibly get any worse. I thought spirits and ghosts were bad enough, but fairies? I can't tolerate any more of this whimsical nonsense.
Your Majesty, I must ask that you compose yourself before your arteries veritably burst. If the fairies are here, it means they have something to offer the court as a Yuletide gift, and it would be incredibly rude to reject their gesture.
You're telling me that every year, fairies come into my great hall, and I've never noticed them.
It is astonishing what one can overlook when one is preoccupied with things such as money, power, etc. There are many marvelous things in this world, Your Majesty, that escape those who are distracted. As you could see, the nobles were so busy gossiping about the latest trivialities of court that they did not see the fairies either.
Shoot, blast it, shoot! How do I get them out of here?
I'd let them have their fun, Your Majesty, and they will happily be on their way. Majesty, what was it you wanted to discuss with me?
I know not how to begin, but I am most certain that I've been cursed or or poisoned, or something nefarious has been done to me to cause me to relive various scenes from my life. And why is it that none of my subjects are aware of my presence?
Your Majesty, your alarm is most appropriate. However, it is only when we are removed from the throes of our everyday lives that we can truly observe our impact on others.
I can't believe that they all came. Even when I refused to attend, it did nothing to curb their holiday spirit. It is quite remarkable.
They come together to honor the spirit in which your father established this party so many years ago. They come for community, for frivolity, and, well, of course, for food. I see that one of your most trusted servants comes hither with her family. You would do well to observe the humility with which she treats others and the way she faithfully shepherds her family's interests.
Mrs. Pickwick, your brains are scrambled if you think that I, a king, have anything to learn from a servant.
Clem up thy mouth and open thine eyes, your Majesty. Observe.
Blimey, Mother, this place is even bigger than I imagined.
Tuck in your tongue, Pete. But try to act normal for once. We aren't technically invited to this affair, so we mustn't draw too much attention.
Martha, not invited. Why did you not tell us? You know the king will throw your father right into the dungeons. He will. We should escape while we can.
Amelia, you're always saying you want to see where Martha spends those days, so be grateful that she brought us.
Mother, the king would not do such a thing for merely looking around.
He's got a secret dungeon right beneath his throne, and when he wants to hide you away forever, all he has to do is send away his servants and say, "Secret chamber, open before my very feet!"
Shh, Percy, what did I just say? You cannot go about impersonating the king. It's a good thing he does not seem to be around at the present moment. Grow up. There is no secret dungeon. He most certainly does not command it to open.
How do you know? He might so.
If he were all the time screaming, "Secret dungeons agape," they wouldn't be secret for long now, would they?
All 5 Paveros under the king's roof. To what do I owe this great pleasure, Martha?
Oh, thank you kindly, Miss Pickwick. We were just having a look around, for father is still able to get out and about.
I see. Well, most welcome you are, dear ones. I'm sorry to say the king is not presently with us, so be at ease. We're all friends here after all. The Paveros are certainly friends of House Stewart, if anyone be.
Thank you kindly, Miss Pickwick. I am Martha's father, and she has had only the most wonderful things to say about you.
Mrs. Pickwick, are you absolutely certain we will not be any bother? Won't the king be angry with us for intruding?
Oh, why indeed, if he were here, he would indeed be angry, but that has little to do with you.
If you say so, mistress.
You can speak freely, Peter.
Well, I do not mean to offend, but it seems that the king would rather have his nose cut off than show a meal with the likes of us.
He'd probably look better too.
Percival Pavero!
Percy! What? I'm not joking. I'd love to know what the rest of his face looks like. You can hardly see any face at all around that schnoz.
That is quite a joke for such a little lad.
Yes, well, out of the mouth of babes, I think it is quite entertaining. The little boy having a go at the king. Brazen, bold, he's just poking fun. That is far more kind of him than returning to the king a taste of his own medicine.
Perhaps the king does not have the luxury of fun, Lord Badger.
Come now, Lady Nicole. The king used to poke plenty of fun in his day. In fact, he was quite the jester.
Well, then perhaps he should forego his royal crown and take up a jester's hat instead. He would certainly be much more effective at court in that capacity.
Except that he hath not a humorous bone in his body, my lord. If I were forced to abide his attempt at joviality, I would happily fling myself into the Thames.
Why, you ungrateful wench! If my father had not given your father his title, then you would still be swilling in your own sweat down in the tannery from which you came. Where found you the nerve to criticize me?
Prithee, what is the difference between His Majesty the King and a piece of ripped toilet paper?
Pray, what is it, Lord Badger?
Absolutely nothing.
Traitors! All of you! I will have every one of you thrown in the tallest tower, and I will think of something painful.
My, these nobles must know how to have a good time. His Majesty must be one of the most fun-loving men in the whole kingdom to allow such tomfoolery at his own expense.
He most certainly is not, father. My skin crawls at the thought what he would do if he overheard such indignities.
Here's a question I'll pose to the court. Why is the king encountering himself such a challenge finding himself a wife? Are his wooing skills as poor as his jousting ability?
Perhaps the Lady Wilberforce. The issue is that he's competing with a dart rather than a lance.
Oh, Mrs. Pickwick, just kill me now.
I feel quite bad for His Majesty in this regard. No one should have to live the rest of their life alone. Methinks we should commission a beautiful sculpture out of the finest marble. Then His Majesty would have a constant companion by his side.
I wonder what aspect of her the king would appeal to more. The fact that she cannot speak to disagree with him would surely be to his liking. Everyone knows the king can be highly infantile when challenged in debate.
Infantile?
Perhaps a woman with marble legs is the only sort that will not flee when faced with the king's relentless egotism. Surely he can love no one but himself.
Now, everyone, I think that you're all being a little harsh on the king.
Yes, thank you, Mother. At least one of you understands the concept of loyalty.
Verily, it's not his fault that his confidence with the ladies is lacking. When he was 18, he attempted to woo a young lady at a court masque, but she was so startled by his advances that she clobbered him right in the face in front of the whole court. It was quite traumatizing for him.
Well, how was I to defend myself? She was twice my size.
Oh, the poor king. How humiliating. Savagely beaten by a woman in front of...
I was not savagely beaten.
But hear me, we've had quite enough of a go at my son. Were he here, I'm sure that all of us would presently be marched right out of this hall and into the stocks.
You can say that again.
Oh, I have a joke that I heard from the butcher the other day.
Well, go ahead then, young man.
3 strumpets walk into an alehouse and say to...
And that's enough, Percy. These nobles don't want to hear any dirty jokes from the mouths of peasants.
Well, I would like to hear an opinion of the king from someone who's not in this court. Mistress Martha, you serve in the king's household, do you not?
I do, milady.
And what do you think of His Majesty?
If you wish to keep your place, girl, I would consider highly about what you're about to say.
I spend most of my day cleaning and running errands about the castle, and I do not have the opportunity to interact much directly with the king. However, there have been times when I've been delivering a load of clean laundry to his chambers, or bringing another pitcher of wine for his meal, and I am always struck by just how alone he always seems to be. He is always in the company of nobles, clergy, ambassadors, others who will have things from him. Lands, titles, money, ships. But he's hardly ever in the company of those where he has the freedom to laugh, to play a game of cards, to quietly discuss his secrets. I think that the king carries a great void of sadness in his heart, and that is why he seems so eternally unpleasant.
Astute observations for a servant, to be sure. But, dear Martha, do you not think the king has some responsibilities for his actions?
Do you not think you have any responsibility for yours, my lord? Mocking the king while he is not here to defend himself is hardly a noble act.
And this is the young woman whom you would have sent home without a meal on Christmas, your majesty.
I am speechless. She knows me without ever speaking to me.
Methinks you show the king too much kindness, sister.
Peter, what kind of example would I be setting for Percy if I were to join in this tirade against the king? I want him to grow up to be an upstanding member of society.
Well, I wish you the best of luck in that endeavor, my dear.
Percy, come here this instant. Leave the noble ladies alone.
But why are their skirts so big? So they can hide their toys under there.
Many apologies for my son's curiosity, your ladyship.
To Pharaoh.
Now, although the king has chosen to hold up elsewhere in the castle, I am confident that if we can sing loudly enough, we can reach him with our indomitable Christmas cheer.
Excellent idea, Lord Fezziwig. His Majesty would absolutely hate that.
And I know just the song.
The ivy now blow well for ground. Oh, the trees that are in the wood, the holly bears the crown. The highway blossom has whitened every flower, so we celebrate the newfound joy as we sing with glorious sound. Oh, the rising of the sun and the running of the deer, the playing of the instruments and the singing in the choir. The holly bears a blossom as white as lily flower. So we celebrate the newfound joy as we sing with glorious sound. As we sing with glorious, the holly and the ivy we sing.
We could have been happy together, you know.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I said we could have been happy together, Ebenezer.
You forget yourself, madam.
You, in fact, are the one who has forgotten me. You've nearly missed the mark, I'm afraid. Do you know who I am, Your Majesty?
Should I?
I am Eliza. Lady Eliza Darby when we were children. Lady Eliza Kensington now. Well, until recently.
Oh, of course, you're Ollivander's daughter. But what do you mean, until recently?
Many years ago, I was promised to Your Majesty in marriage. My father intended to present me as your bride at the Christmas feast. But when we arrived, your servants informed us that Your Majesty would not be in attendance. My father, desperate to secure a match for me, did that evening strike up a conversation with Lord Kensington. Then a widower and desirous for a new bride, though not a king, Lord Kensington came from a noble family, and a marriage to him came with land, estates, and titles. When I first looked into his eyes, I saw nothing but coldness, and I knew from that moment that I would cease to be myself and become only a possession for him to collect.
I'm sorry, but I do not know why you are bringing your sad story to me. I had nothing to do with your ill-fated marriage.
As I feared, my marriage to Lord Kensington brought on some of the loneliest and saddest days of my young life. After a year, when I had not yet borne his lordship a child, Lord Kensington threatened to have me done away with. He's a cruel man, and I knew that his threat was not in jest. So, I decided to beat him to it. I threw myself from the highest of his towers. Only in death was I ever to truly escape him.
So you are yet another ghost to haunt me this night. Now, I am truly sorry for your misfortune, Lady Eliza, but it sounds like your fate could have been avoided if in fact your father...
You fool! You could have done something to prevent it. If you had just attended that Christmas feast instead of storming off like a child, we could have met and perhaps even fallen in love.
But I didn't know. If I had known, of course I would have...
So much of your life has already passed you by, Your Majesty, with only coldness, greed, and apathy as your company. I fear that you are doomed to lose all that you hold dear.
I know your words to be true, my lady, for I have already lost you.
Goodbye, Ebenezer.
No, wait, Eliza, please, you must understand. I had heard rumors of our future betrothal, but I did not take them seriously. I thought it was just flummery between the nobles. Empty promises, Eliza, please.
Empty indeed.
But I will seek elsewhere, if I may find her there. Shall I bid her go? What and if she do? Shall I bid her go and her dare not? Oh no, 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 I dare not.
Merry Christmas, Your Majesty.
Not come any closer, demon. I know that you are likely another spirit here to instruct me on my failings as a human, but I will not be threatened in my own castle. No, that's right. Stay back, phantom. Now, who might you be? I've been visited by spirits who have shown me the past as well as the present, so you must be here to show me my future. Is that correct? Excellent. Well, I can save you some of what I am sure is valuable haunting time by telling you that the future of my kingdom is most secure. because I have been diligently accumulating funds for the royal coffers to ensure long-term stability. So there you have it. You can toddle off and terrorize some other king. Now, no, Zeus, get the thing away from me, please. I'm the king. How dare you? All right. There is obviously something that I'm not getting here. Are you trying to tell me that the future of my kingdom is not secure? No. Spirit, what is this mayhem? They are destroying my castle. Now, where are my gods? Perhaps I took the gods for granted. I did cut their pay last year when I rebalanced the castle's budget. They were understandably, I suppose, not pleased. Now, how I wish I had not done it just to save a few pounds. Their loyalty was far more valuable.
You villainous traitor! How dare you come into the king's hall with such violence?
I'll tell you how. The king is no king of mine. He has done nothing to deserve my royalty, and now that he has run off like a coward, I will help myself to the riches I know he has heaped up in this castle. And if you dare try and stop me, I will gut thee.
How can you be so treacherous? I know the king was no friend to anyone at court, but plundering his castle.
Perhaps he should have spent more time earning my friendship than counting his money. I shall surely show him in the price of his indifference. Have at thee!
Those are two lords of my court. Those are two men that I have supped with, discussed important matters of state with. Have they no loyalty to me, Spirit? Can a king be so quickly forgotten? No, thieves! Spirit, those vagabonds are making off with my money. Stop them! Surely you possess the mystical powers to do something about this?
Don't mind if I do. It's a nice view from this seat, if I do say so myself.
But fiend! Who does he think he is, Spirit? Now remove your mortal rear from my throne this instant!
How dare you! You will pay for that!
Oh, Mother, can you hear me, Mother?
My queen, we must make haste. It is not safe here any longer. I know you wish it were not so. I'm sorry, Jane. You must go at once.
Go with him, Mother, please.
The kingdom we built, Cardinal. The son we raised, and for what? A pile of ashes? An endless lamentation?
I know it is hard to have faith, but you must believe the love you gave your family and your subjects was never in vain. I wish there were time to stay and grieve, but we must go. I urge you. The gate will not hold much longer.
Jacob always knew that the true riches of this kingdom were its people. All along, he treasured them. I just do not understand where I went so wrong. How could my son have grown up watching his father's every move and never seen Jacob's heart for his people? How could Ebenezer abandon us this way?
Abandon you? I would never. So what is this, Spirit? I've left. I've been slaughtered. Answer me, you fool!
I know. I can hardly believe it, my queen. I've never seen such treachery, truly. Only God can help us now.
I understand now, Spirit. If I do not show care and concern to my people, then they will surely show none to me. I bet that any person now living in my kingdom would happily see me dead. So what can I do, Spirit? Are these visions of what will be, or of only what could be? There is the brother of my servant, young Martha Pavero. Now what are they doing to him? Spirit, do something!
Kill me if you must. I'll not leave this hall without Martha, and the two of you are nothing but murderous traitors.
Oh, you want to start name-calling, do you, lad? Well, if you're standing in the way of us getting into the king's chambers in the mountains Lutathen, then we will have more than names for you.
Martha is in there, and I'll not let you get through to her without a fight.
Have it your way, lad.
No! How could they just... That poor lad, he stood no chance. I cannot live with this on my heart, Spirit. I know that I must change. This cannot be the future of my kingdom. So many innocent lives lost. I vow to become a different man, Spirit. Just take me away from this. No, wait, no, Spirit, take me back. Do not leave me here in this abject misery alone. I know not how to travel between the threads of time as you do. Spirit, don't leave me here. Spirit, take me back. Take me back. Spirit, take me back. Spirit, take me back. Spirit, take me back. Take me back. Take me back. Spirit, take me back.
Your Majesty, are you quite all right?
It seems His Majesty is having a breakdown of some kind.
Mrs. Pickwick, attend if you please. His Majesty is having some sort of breakdown.
God's teeth, Your Majesty, why are you on the floor? Are you feeling faint? Are you ill?
Well, we know he's not suffering from a feat of Christmas spirit, that's for sure.
Mrs. Pickwick, can you hear me?
Maybe a bit deafer now, Your Majesty, but yes, of course I can hear you.
You gave us quite a fright there, Your Majesty.
Lord Darby, you can see me?
Why, yes, of course, Your Majesty.
I'm back, baby!
Your Majesty's behavior is most unusual. You've looked as if you've seen a ghost.
I have. 3, in fact, and I have had the most revelatory experience. I know now that things cannot remain as they have been in the years since I've taken up my father's reign. Many of you here were loyal to him, not out of obligation, but because he tended to your hearts and your minds as well as to the rule of the kingdom. Riches enough I have. Now I need true friends.
I must say, Your Majesty, these sentiments are most strange coming from the man who uninvited himself from his own Christmas party.
Indeed, this was most inhospitable. You all speak the truth. My behavior was inexcusable, and I ask for your forgiveness.
It takes great courage to admit your wrongs and ask for forgiveness, my son. Your father would be most proud.
I now endeavor towards nothing more than earning the crown that he wore, Mother, but you especially must forgive me for being such a disappointment of a royal son.
Nonsense, Ebenezer. You had to find your own way into the hearts of your people, and I think that this is quite the admirable first step.
Well, I'd be a lot further down the path with some better holiday decor. This tinsel is positively limp, and this isn't jolly at all. Mrs. Pickwick!
Now considerably deafer, sir.
Now, why are the decorations so lamentable? Aren't you supposed to be my mistress of revels?
I am indeed, Your Majesty, but when I approached you with the budget for these decorations, you told me that if I went 1 shilling over the £10 limit, you'd lock me in the cupboard and...
Well, never mind what I said. That was the old me. I want you to go at once and purchase the largest Christmas trees you can find, deck them, and bring them hence for my guests to enjoy.
As you wish, Your Majesty.
Now have we eaten our meal yet?
We have indeed, Your Majesty.
And was it palatable?
It was, actually. It seems that the only thing His Majesty did not skimp on was the roasted meat.
Truthfully, it was quite tasty, but I think we can all agree that no meal is complete without pudding.
Ah, yes, well, I'm sure His Majesty had something exceptionally fancy planned for this evening's dessert. Servant, bring forth our dessert.
Many apologies, my lords and ladies, but this was the only cake we could make in accordance with the king's rather aggressive flour restrictions. But I shall try and cut it as economically as possible.
No, dear Martha, don't be ridiculous. That is just the appetizer cake. The real pudding is much more impressive and fit for my beloved guests. Now, get you to the kitchen and fetch the real dessert.
But Your Majesty, the flour ration...
From this point forward, I am abolishing the flour ration. I don't care if you must purchase 50 sacks of flour. Make these people some cake. And one for yourself, too, while you're at it.
Right away, Your Majesty.
As requested, Your Majesty, where shall I put it?
Why, Miss Pickwick, however did you source those trees so incredibly quickly? Methinks you're a Yuletide wizard of some kind.
Truthfully, it was something of a Christmas miracle, my lord. The townsfolk were having a celebration of their own in the village square, with many beautiful trees just like this that they had lovingly decked. I asked if they could spare one to deck none other than His Majesty the King's festive hall.
Let me guess, they felt less than charitable toward the king.
Indeed, but once I assured them of His Majesty's great love and respect for them, they were more than willing to share their holiday cheer.
Now, Mrs. Pickwick, whatever did you say to convince them so absolutely?
I may or may not have told them that His Majesty would be declaring no less than 3 extra holy feast days this year.
Oh, Your Majesty, did you hear that? That is 3 days off from working the fields. Oh, joyous.
And I may have shared that His Majesty wished to lower the taxes significantly in honor of the charitable season of Christmas.
Of course I do. I am happy to make such charitable and economically disastrous gestures for my people. And for you, my loyal friends and advisors, I intend to prove my appreciation with more than a few extra holidays, but behold, we have yet this present Christmas to celebrate to the fullest. I, my goodly court, intend for us to drink every last drop to Christmas. May eternal hope and the very spirit of Christmas itself reign sovereign in the kingdom and in our house of Stuart, in the coldest chills of winter, the earthy freshness of spring, the sweltering summers, the crisp harvests of autumn, and evermore. To Christmas!
To Christmas! Well met, Your Majesty, well met. Perhaps you would like some of our finest musicians to come and liven the spirits further? You might even like to personally greet some of your guests?
Why, of course. Brilliant, Mrs. Pickwick.
Blimey, Martha. This place is even bigger than I imagined.
Tuck in your tongue, Pete. Try to act normal for once. We aren't... Oh, Your Majesty!
You all must be the Pivero family. Now, I am certain that I did not invite you to this feast, but I should have. No doubt about it. Your Martha here is one of the hardest working of my entire staff, which I am sure you already know.
Of course we know. She's hardly ever home anymore.
Don't talk to the Majesty that way.
Please, ignore my little brother, Your Majesty. He does not understand.
You're going to get your sister fired, Percy!
It's true!
It is true, young Percy, but I can fix that because I am the king. Now, Martha, from this point forward, every Saturday is to be spent at home and with your family. No exceptions.
What if we don't want at the house every single Saturday, Your Majesty?
Well, then I suppose you'll have to come and work in her stead. Peter, is it?
If you'd have me, Your Majesty.
I believe I would, Peter. I'm in need of a new royal groomsman. So tell me, do you know your way around a horse?
Indeed I do. From the withers to the flanks. Thank you, Your Majesty. 'Tis an honor.
Welcome aboard, Pivero.
You're most welcome, Peter. And the Piveros are friends of this court, and as such, if any of you is in need of anything, I want you to make it known to Mrs. Pickwick immediately. Is that clear?
Thank you kindly, Your Majesty.
We are humbled, Your Majesty.
That's not fair. Everyone gets a job but me.
Percy, dear, you're far too young to work in the castle. Oh, but perhaps we may have one job for you, if the king will allow it. Tell me, child, can you read?
He reads every scrap of parchment he sees, Your Majesty.
I even read a play once.
Is that so, dear boy? Would you like to bless this court by reading to us the Christmas story?
Would I ever? And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. And this taxing was first made when Cyrenius was governor of Syria. And all went to be taxed, everyone into his own city. And Joseph also went up from Galilee, out of the city of Nazareth into Judea, unto the city of David, which is to be called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and lineage of David, to be taxed with Mary, his espoused wife, being great with a child. And so it was, that while they were there, the days were accomplished that she should be delivered. And she brought forth her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling clothes, and laid him in a manger.
I do believe that it is manger, dear boy.
Manger! Because there was no room for them in the inn. And there were, in the same country, shepherds abiding in the fields, keeping watch over the flock by night. And lo, the angel of the Lord came upon them, and the glory of the Lord shone round about them, and they were sore afraid. And the angel said unto them, Fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Saviour, which is Christ the Lord. And this shall be a sign unto you. You shall find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes and lying in a manger. And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host, praising God, and saying, Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward men.
Upon my word, I have never seen a child of a peasant speak with such alacrity. Positively marvelous.
A credit to his parents, indeed.
Now, that was very well done, Percival. I think perhaps a Christmas gift is in order as repayment for your oratorical services.
Yes, Your Majesty, I love presents. Oh, they ever get one.
Deep breaths. You know you mustn't get so excited. You're not like the other boys.
With a spirit like yours, I think that you have the makings of a great soldier someday. Now here. This should help.
Mama, look! Whoops! Sorry, milady.
Perhaps I should hold on to this when we get home for you, my dear, until you're at least as tall as your own sword. Your Majesty, you must know that this weapon is worth more than all we possess. We can hardly accept such a fine gift.
You can and you must, Mrs. Pavero. Let us hope that this is not the last of the many gifts you shall receive for your many years of loyal service to the crown, and for raising such fine children.
Now, what happened to that glorious music?
Your Majesty, you said earlier this evening if we ever played in your presence again, you would clap us about the ears.
In all fairness, Your Majesty, that does sound like something you'd say.
Well, good fellow, I can assure you that I am not the same man that I was mere hours ago. That man is gone, and this man believes that there is no better way to express one's feelings and to liven the hearts of all than with sweet music. My friends, too long have I avoided the things in life which once brought me great joy. If you can overlook my past transgressions, will you join your voices with mine in celebration of this most holy season?
Your Majesty, your sincere invitation has reached my heart. I will sing with you.
And I shall sing as well.
Nothing would please us more, Your Majesty.
We thought you'd never ask.
Bring a torch, Jeanette Isabella, bring a torch, come hurry and run. It is Jesus, good folk of the village, Christ is born, and Mary's calling, ah, ah. Beautiful is the mother, ah, ah. Beautiful is the child. Rio, Rio, Chila, guarda libera, Dios guarda el lobo de nuestra codera. Dios guarda el lobo de nuestra codera. Rio, Rio, Chila, guarda libera, Dios guarda el lobo de nuestra codera. Dios guarda el lobo de nuestra codera.
Este viene los muertos vida, y había para los toros lacia. Esta luz del día, coincido melo, este es el cordero San Juan dice.
Rio, Rio, Chila, guarda libera, Dios guarda el lobo de nuestra codera. Dios guarda el lobo de nuestra codera.
Quindacito eso cromonaca y viene rapera tito tosta caíta. Este la estrella y que se mucuilo. Este la cordero de San Juan de eso.
Rio, Rio, Chila, guarda libera, Dios guarda el lobo de nuestra codera. Dios guarda el lobo de nuestra codera.
Muchas alegrías las espera persona, algunos vacías, otros solo se marcha. Y yo que la quiero, la profecía, y el del Padre con el cariño.
Rio, Rio, Chila, guarda libera, Dios guarda el lobo de nuestra codera. Dios guarda el lobo de nuestra codera.
Now it's time for your king, but I won't sing for too long. It is just a kid, I don't know this song. For years I've swept my caroling lessons under the rug, but this is better than shouting bah humbug.
Rio, Rio, Chila, guarda libera, Dios guarda el lobo de nuestra codera. There are 5 more verses to this Spanish song. Learning all the words would take him far too long. Though he can't speak Spanish, it really doesn't matter. Every time he sings, he just makes us all look better. Rio, Rio, Chila, Guadalibera. Dios el lobo en nuestra cordera. Dios el lobo en nuestra cordera.
Now, oh my good people, a happier Christmas I cannot recall. This music has inspired a deep desire in me to do good. So, in addition to lowering the taxes for all in my kingdom, as previously announced, I would also like to bequeath 100 hectares of the royal forest on these very grounds to the Admiral. Let our good English timber furnish your new fleet of warships.
Your Majesty, this Christmas gift is positively astounding. I have always been your most loyal servant, and shall oversee the construction of the finest 300 ships to ever lead the Royal Navy.
This is a gift not only for the Admiral, but for all of your people, Your Majesty. The gift of a strong navy and national security is one that your subjects shall surely enjoy.
I do hope so.
Darling, your generosity this eve has inspired me into a gifting spirit as well. Perhaps you'll permit me to make a gift of my own?
Mother, I know how tightly I have guarded the royal coffers in the past, but I do hope that that time is over. You know that you need not ask my permission for such things.
Very well. Then I should like to make a gift of 300 yards of Lady Nicole's finest linen to the town's orphanage. I've seen those poor children running about the town in nothing but rags, and they deserve proper clothing this Yuletide.
Your Majesty is most benevolent.
I can't imagine my own children going without this most simple tunic. This is truly a gift both of necessity and dignity, my lady.
A most thoughtful and blessed gift indeed, Mother. Now, one more song now, perhaps one that tells the tale of another child blessed on Christmas night. Sir, I do not know how this eve could get any better.
Your Majesty, if you will permit me, I was planning on presenting my daughter to you this eve.
Well, Lord Derby, present her then.
I present to you the Lady Eliza Derby, newly returned to England from France, where she was the lady-in-waiting to the Marquis de Avignon.
Ebenezer, dear, it's not polite to allow one's mouth to hang agape like that.
You are most welcome at my court, Lady Eliza. Now, forgive me, but I do have the strangest sensation that we've met before.
I do not think that possible, for I've just come back from France. Though I am most happy to be acquainted with your Majesty now.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
That we may get a long-awaited queen after all.
Surely a royal heir at the next time this year would be the most best Christmas gift of them all.
My lady, I wonder if you might assist me in resurrecting an old Christmas tradition long held by my father, the late king.
Oh, dance, Ebenezer?
Indeed. Every Christmas party, my father would invite my mother to dance before the entire court. Now, I wonder if you, Lady Eliza might assist me in reviving this old tradition.
But, my lord, isn't a ritual of this importance reserved for a queen?
I see before me one with all the beauty, the graces, and the intelligence of a queen. A queen in all but title, and that title is something that I will happily bestow now, if you will have me, my lady.
I would be honored, Your Majesty. Someone who shows the kindness that you just showed that child this eve is someone I could most faithfully love.
And who is going to be throwing themselves off of a tower now?
I must say, the king is acting most oddly this eve.
That may be true, but I'll take an odd king over a stingy one any day.
Good subjects, I am positively alight with holiday voracity. I can hardly contain myself. So what shall we do next? Yule log juggling? Ribbon trailing? Fireworks from the bastion, perhaps?
My dear, you have already expressed the spirit of the season through your many kindness and grand gestures this evening.
I know, Mother, but I feel as if I have a lifetime of jolliness to make up for, and so little time. The hour of midnight is almost upon us.
Your Majesty, if I may, perhaps there are more important things to celebrate on Christmas Eve than the giving of gifts or the decking of one's halls.
I couldn't agree more. While your father, God rest him, was more than generous with the giving of things, the greatest gift for him was for all of his subjects to be gathered together, for good company and high spirits, for joyful singing and awakened hearts.
I see. My tutelage on the subject of Christmas must surely continue beyond this night, as I clearly still have much to learn. In that case, dear subjects all, let us instead offer a somber, heartfelt conclusion by joining our voices in this space, by filling the air between us with beauteous sounds and holy words.
Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round yon virgin mother and child, holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace. Silent night, holy night, shepherds wake at the sight, glory stream from heaven afar, heavenly hosts sing hallelujah. Christ the Savior is born. Christ the Savior is born.
We all must now depart, but we thank your majesty most heartily for a feast I'm sure we shall never forget.
You are most welcome, Lady Mayhew. I wish you all safe travels home, and... Wait, no, I don't want to go, spirits. Do not take me anywhere. I've learned my lesson. I've... It's only the ringing of the hour. Silly me. That clock is rather loud and...
Like she said, odd, but we'll take him.
Farewell, beloved guests. May your Christmases be full of good cheer and every blessing.
We wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your King, good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year. Now bring us a figgy pudding, now bring us a figgy pudding, now bring some figgy pudding and a cup of good cheer. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. Good tidings for Christmas and a happy New Year. We all like our figgy pudding, pudding, right here, young. Tidings we bring to you and your kin. Good tidings for Christmas and a happy New Year. We won't go until we get some. We won't go until we get some. We won't go until we get some. So bring it out here, please. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We all know that Santa's coming. We all know that Santa's coming. We all know that Santa's coming, and soon we'll be here. So bring him some figgy pudding. He also wants figgy pudding. The man needs some figgy pudding and a bit more for us, please. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. Good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Oi, what's a lady got to do to get some ale around here? Oh, there you are. I was wondering where you were. Off hunting the North Tower again?
Oh, no. I was just out on the battlement watching the guests leave. They certainly seem to be in excellently high spirits. I believe our work here is done.
You should have seen your son. He was kinder, gentler, and more open-hearted than I've ever seen him. You would have been proud.
I was indeed. You should have seen him when I first appeared. Why, he nearly turned into a gibbering pile of... Oh!
Why must you do that? Can't you just float into the room where everyone can see you like a normal spirit?
You did quite a number on him with that sword fight and anarchy scene, old chap. Would you like a drink? Do you drink? Can you drink?
Well, I thought we all did an excellent job tonight. We were creepy, yet endearing. We pulled on his heartstrings and equally scared the bejeebers out of him. Honestly, they don't pay us enough. Saving an entire kingdom should come with eternal glory or something.
Need a little help there? Oh, be not so sad now. I have a little Christmas gift for you. I thought I would jollify it for you. Tonight certainly would not have been a success without thee.
Merry Christmas, lads. This is one for the books, I'm sure.
Yes, I feel certain that someone, perhaps around the 19th century or so, might have the mind to write down our story.
Are you mad? What in the dickens are you talking about?
Oh, never mind. We shall have to wait and see. To a very Merry Christmas, one and all.
Merry Christmas to all.
And to all a good night.
Was Friday morn when we set sail, and we were not too far from the land, when our good captain spied a lovely mermaid with a comb and a glass in her hand, and the ocean waves to roll, and the stormy winds to blow, and we poor sailors go skipping at the top, while the landlubbers lie down below, 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 while the landlubbers lie down below. And up spoke the captain of our gallant ship, and a very worried captain was he. This lovely mermaid has warned us of our doom, and we shall sink to the bottom of the sea. Oh no! And the ocean waves to roll, and the stormy winds to blow, and we poor sailors go skipping at the top, while the landlubbers lie down below, 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 the landlubbers lie down below. spoke the gypsies of our gallant ship, and what spicy jingly gypsies are we. We shake our hips as we try to steal your woman, as we sink to the bottom of the sea.
The ocean waves do roll,
and the stormy winds do blow, and we poor sailors go skipping at the top, while the landlubbers lie down below, below, below. The landlubbers lie down below. And up spoke the gypsies of our gallant ship, and with sparkling shining berries are we. We love to tell the gypsies and steal their shining things, so we'll sing to the bottom of the sea. So yeah!
and the ocean waves do
roll, and the stormy winds do blow, and we poor sailors go skipping at the top, while the landlubbers lie down below, below, below. While the landlubbers lie down below.
And up spoke the workers of our gallant ship, and what loyal, sassy workers are we.
Now the king finally sees
the power of family
as we sink to the bottom of the sea.
and the ocean waves do roll,
and the stormy winds do blow, and we poor sailors go skipping at the top, while the landlubbers lie down below, below, below. While the landlubbers lie down below.
and up spoke the lords of our gallant ship, and what newly restored faith have we. Before we felt so scorned, but now he has been reborn, as we sink to the bottom of the sea.
And the ocean waves do roll, and the stormy winds do blow, and we poor sailors go skipping at the top, while the landlubbers lie down below, below, below. While the landlubbers lie down below.
And up spoke the ladies of our gallant ship, and what strongly held opinions have we. Our kingdom's future is bright, now Ebenezer seemed the light, as we sink to the bottom of the sea.
And the ocean waves do roll, and the stormy winds do blow, and we poor sailors go skipping at the top, while the landlubbers lie down below, below, below. While the landlubbers lie down below.
And up spoke the spirits of our gallant ship, and what terrifying spirits are we. Through a jump and a fright, his heart has changed to night, as we sink to the bottom of the sea.
And the ocean waves do roll, and the stormy winds do blow, and we poor sailors go skipping at the top, while the landlubbers lie down below, below, below. While the landlubbers lie down below.
And up spoke the miser of our gallant ship, though now so much less miserly. Traveling through space and time, love of Christmas did I find, as we sink to the bottom of the sea.
And the ocean waves do roll, and the stormy winds do blow, and we poor sailors go skipping at the top, while the landlubbers lie down below, below, below. While the landlubbers lie down below. 3 times round spun our gallant ship, and 3 times around spun she. That's 6. 3 times round spun our gallant ship, and she sank to the bottom of the sea. About time! And the ocean waves do roll, and the stormy winds do blow, and we poor sailors go skipping at the top, while the landlubbers lie down below, below, below. While the landlubbers lie down below, and the ocean waves do roll, and the stormy winds do blow, and we poor sailors go skipping at the top, while the landlubbers
awesome.